why this damn thing keeps shutting down. This is the second time, and we're like our full Wi-Fi.
He's like our Steve from.
We're back live. We're on break. We got the mountain in the house.
Woo! He's like our Steve from the Jerry Springer Show. He'll throw you out. He'll throw you right out. So, okay, thank you, folks, for joining us back again. We got Joe Schultz and Susan's back. All right, I'll find. Let me find a song. Let me see what's. All right, I got a song for you. Let's see. Little hooked on a feeling for you. How about that? You know this one, right?
No.
You don't. Come on.
Oh my God.
I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Say it right. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms at night, keep it up, girl. Everything's alright. You drop it. Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. The sweet as candy. The taste stays on my mind. Girl, you keep me thirsty for another cup of wine. I got it bad for you, Ken, but I don't need a cure. I just stay addicted and hope. Uh-oh, my music going off. Oh, because I hit the live button by accident. Hold on, we'll be addicted and hope I can endure all the good love when we're all alone. Keep it up, Ken. Yeah, you turn me on. I'm hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. There you go. How long's our break? Do we have time for another one?
Oh, I got one then.
I got one.
What?
What do you got, Raph?
I can try to put my phone.
We hope you enjoyed our musical interlude. We've got another one coming. Raph's got a song coming.
Yeah, dude, there's like 5 bars.
I know the kids won't know it.
Put it right there. Just don't mash on it.
It's, I don't know, it's weird. Keep seeing we're experiencing things shut down your browser.
Here's the thing. You guys might actually
Take down your trousers!
at some point in this lodge. At some point in this lodge.
What do you got? I might have it on my.
Wired internet. Yeah.
You going the fighting? That one?
No.
Oh, so you're going a little kung fu fighting on us there. That would have been good. I can pick something for mine.
It's coming. It's
Yeah,
coming.
we're not there yet.
Fiber optic.
Got the ad. Got to do the ad first.
We'll get there.
I don't know that one.
I
I don't know that one. Let's see what else I got. Is that Feliz Navidad?
No. You don't know this one?
I don't know this one. I don't. How about you, Head? You like how about Dr. Hook? You like Dr. Hook?
Yeah, let it rip.
All right, we're gonna go a little Dr. Hook. You'll know this one. This is when I was really young. Ringing any bell? Sharing the night together?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking kind of lonely, girl. Would you like someone new to talk to? Oh, yeah. All right. I'm lonely, too, if you don't mind. Can I sit down here beside you? 77, I was 5. Oh, yeah. All right.
How about a little looking glass?
I hope that you will understand. Oh, there you go. Go ahead. I'll defer to you.
Where'd it go?
Did you hit the live button by accident?
No.
Fire in your questions.
Or musical request.
You know this one.
There's a
port on a western bay, and it serves 100 ships a day. Lonely sailors pass the time away. All right, fire it back up, freaks.
Hold on, we got one more. Let me take the next verse. There's a girl in this harbor town, and she works laying whiskey down. There's a brandy, fetch another round. She serves them whiskey and wine. Say, Brandy, you're a fine girl. Wife, you would be such a fine girl. Mount Sailor.
This is terrible.
Here we're coming back. We've punished them enough. I hope you all enjoyed that.
I think we fixed our technical difficulties.
Yeah, I think we fixed our technical. I was having an issue with my browser. I think we're good.
All that nonsense.
An issue with your trousers. I love. Now we're getting requests for me to dance.
Oh God, no! Please don't.
I've got this new dance. One day I'll show you this dance. I invented this dance. I call it the gravy train.
Oh my God!
If you want, maybe I'll show it to you.
I'm good. We're good. All right, fire in your questions about leadership, or if you got anything you want to add.
Or if you want to see the gravy train.
Oh God! Please.
While we're waiting for questions to come in, the other couple big things that a leader needs to do is one, communicate. You've got to communicate.
Hold on, save it for we're not live yet.
Oh, I thought we were live.
No,
I thought you said we were live.
We're not broadcasting.
Oh, so we're just on Facebook Live right now?
Yeah, we're just on Facebook Live. All right, ready?
Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2.
What the?
We are back. We're back.
We're back.
Hope you guys enjoyed the commercial. I thought it was pretty funny.
And for those watching Facebook Live,
hope
you enjoyed the little musical interlude.
We're going to have to take that on the road.
Oh, Angelo Chavez wants to see the gravy train dance.
Oh, no. Please.
We'll close out the episode with the gravy train dance. I'll have to pick out a good song.
All right. So we're talking about, again, we're back on our subject is he says the gravy train. I don't even know you anymore.
Is that like a Fortnite dance or something?
No, it's like
a flaw.
It's a combination.
Gravy train.
All right, Joe.
Really no way to.
Joe, you got 2 requests. Just freaking do it.
So the gravy train comes around because it comes about where
I can't believe we're doing this.
You see a beautiful woman, and she's attracted to you, and you know she wants to ride the gravy train. She wants to hitch her wagon to this gravy train. So like works with a little. You work into it like a slow train,
and you wonder why I don't come up here that often.
Yeah. And then you get the little overbite thing going. And it's like,
it just gets worse.
And then you think you can. And
Are we recording right now?
Yes, we are.
What is
you get that gravy train going.
It's so much worse.
And you say, hey, babe, you want to take a ride on my gravy train? So that's how the gravy train dance goes.
All right,
I thought
it was like a leadership philosophy or something.
I thought it was more like come and ride the train.
Well,
Ride it.
No, this one is more like you got to get the motion.
Oh,
Anything to do with that train just
So
makes
bad.
George cringe.
What's
You got to hitch that wagon to that
Our
gravy
associate
train.
Grand Marshal Daniel Sharkus just popped on.
Oh, hey, I probably shouldn't have done that.
Mr. Cucumber. Mr. Cucumber.
Aaron McGoldrick just threw up.
That's awesome.
You're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
Just threw up a little in my mouth.
Well, let's get to a quality of a leader.
Joe,
You know, there's something called emotional intelligence, and there's five characteristics of that. One of them is self-deprecation and being able to laugh at yourself and have some fun, which up until about 10 years ago, I honestly thought it was self-defecation, which kind of makes sense because you're like taking a crap on yourself and making fun of yourself. It was about 10 years ago I learned that self-deprecation was not self-defecation.
Susan Rafferty just logged on. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that your husband came up here for this.
Well, apparently the gravy train is catching on. Susan Kappa says, "Thank you. I just peed my pants. I'm laughing so hard." So she just had a little self-defecation kind of.
Oh my God.
There is a class action lawsuit regarding,
And that's copyrighted. Just so you know, that is
copyrighted. All right.
donation.
Oh my God. All right. So positive qualities. Joe, you had one right before we were about to go live.
Yeah, so the big thing is communication. And what you need to understand with communication is people receive and deliver communication differently. And you talked about an alpha personality before. If I want, and I know that being your personality, I need to understand what my personality is and yours and how they interact. You're an alpha personality. I'm what they call it. If you're doing colors, you're a red personality. I'm a green. I'm not a freaking ginger. Don't even go there. Don't screw this up on me. But those two personality types do things very differently and frustrate the crap out of each other. But if you know, like you want to get something done, you're like, just tell me what to do and I'll get it done. Let's cut out the chit chat.
That's me.
Clearly, I like to entertain. I like to tell stories. I like to have a little fun. If you're in that red mentality, you just want to get things done, I'm going to frustrate the crap out of you and you're just going to tune me out. So I need to adapt my style to yours in order to get the most out of you.
Likewise, my personality needs to adapt to you. Whereas, you have a green personality. Meaning, and this is very important that for a leader, especially, understand all of the personalities he's dealing with. Whereas Joe and Rocco and other people will beat around the bush. I'm very direct. You know exactly where I'm coming from. You know exactly. I don't beat around the bush. There's no story involved. This is where I stand. This is what I'm after. Some people don't communicate that way. And the worst thing to do is for me, you'd say I'm a red personality. I'm a very direct person. Is to come on, get to the meat and potatoes of this.
Right.
Because the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to offend you. I'm going to piss you off because you're trying to get to the meat and potatoes. You just have a different way of seeing it.
Right.
Leaders, regardless if you're red, green, blue, purple, whatever, need to understand that you're dealing with, especially in a lodge, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. Even when you get into the bigger lodges, you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. Each one communicates differently. Whereas you communicate one way, Rocco's going to have something else. Rafferty's definitely a red. You're dark red. But I understand that
when it comes to doing something.
When it comes to doing something. But I can't come at Rafferty as for lack of better words, I can't come at Rafferty as an asshole because he's going to perceive me as an asshole and it's going to get us into an argument. So I think me and you work very well together because you know how my personality is, and I know how yours is. Again, I've made the joke 1,000 times when I'm listening to a podcast, and we actually had a great conversation earlier today, where I'm like, "Yeah, I know what I did. You don't even gotta say anything. I already know what I did. I didn't have Ken's mic up loud enough. I cut him off a couple times, and I automatically." And he's like, "I'm proud of you."
I was because you're picking up what
right, but. On that point, though, I couldn't be like, I'm not going to be like, Rafferty, I already know what I did. Don't say anything to me.
Right.
Because now I'm cutting him off the knees. I'm not giving him, his, is it a DVD? Oh,
those are our,
like, who the hell's computer's got a DVD player?
Those are our new, as you're talking about these here.
Yep.
Our new Puppet George Freemason.
Put it on my laptop.
You have to approach each person in each situation as a leader much different than you would. Greg Schultz asked, what book inspires you? Mine is Sun Tzu's Art of War. Again, if we were talking about different personality traits, yes, my book is Sun Tzu's Art of War. I think it's a fantastic book. I've also said, again, I lean toward the alpha male or whatever you want to call it.
Red fish, blue fish?
What?
Red fish, blue
What the
fish?
hell's red fish, blue fish?
It's Dr. Seuss, man.
It's
I don't
pretty
read that
standard
shit.
Dr. Seuss.
Again,
The
red
little-
personality. I don't read that shit.
The little train that could.
All right.
So yeah, and I even withheld before where you're like, well, if I wanted to communicate with Joe, I have to adapt. And I was going to say, yeah, get a step stool. But I didn't go there. I didn't do that to you.
All right.
Because I love you.
All right.
I love you. You let me sing.
I think it's also very important for a leader to understand his flaws. That is a major thing to understand and know, is your own flaws. Things that that other people notice in you that you don't notice in yourself. There's many people across everything, politics or, not getting political. I'm just making a point. Politics and or Masonic is that you don't understand your own flaws. You don't understand your own things that are a negative trait to you. Again, I'm a very strong personality. As a matter of fact, I've been to a therapist and, stating, things that, bother me or upset me. And the therapist is like, wow, shit. Got my hands full with you. Like, because everything that she would point out about me, I had an argument to it. Well, no, that's not that it's bullshit, but, no.
Well, no, this is why I do
This is why I do
You
it.
justify it.
Justify it. I have a very strong personality. I'm very difficult to deal with. But I know this about myself. So one of the things that I need to do is I need to dial that back in a way. And again, I've said all the things that I'm doing with Morningstar Lodge and dialing back on this and everything because, I think recognition of your faults is a major, major strong part of a leader.
Yeah, and that self-awareness piece is another component of that emotional intelligence that I mentioned for her. Along with, here's one that we all struggle with at times, self-regulation. You need to be able to subdue your passions and keep an even keel when things are either really, really high or really, really low. So you've got to kind of regulate yourself, and that's a key characteristic. The leader's constantly like flipping out and dropping F-bombs and throwing things every time the live feed goes down.
Right.
You can lose a certain part of your audience.
There may be an entire mic stand that you threw across.
Yes, I did. It's still on the ground right over
I
there.
wish we had video.
Let me. I literally took the mic, the arm that I had here. It was falling off the chair. I literally grabbed it, ripped the mic out, and launched it over there.
Yeah, you seem to have a hard time keeping that up.
I will say this, and then I'm going to get into something that Right Worshipful Chip Schofield had said. My biggest, and I know this is my own flaw, and this was my biggest flaw as a mechanic when I was a mechanic. I used to be a mechanic, ASE certified mechanic and everything. I had no problem taking the whole top part of an engine off. I was very methodical and very good with taking apart the whole top end of an engine. But that 10-millimeter bolt that fell down in the back that was laying up against the exhaust that I couldn't get my hands on drove me freaking nuts. So to me, it's the dumb small things that will set me in a freaking mic arm that keeps going down on me, will piss me off. But, other things that are...
biting my tongue.
I know, the threes. But I'm just making a point. Small things drive me insane. I mean, literally insane. But big problems, I can handle all day long. It's the small stuff that drives me nuts. And I know that's a fault of mine. So, like, at some point, I'll be here trying to fix the computer. And I'm like, Ken, just take over. I'm done.
Marco, take over. I'm done.
Angelo Chavez says, nah, those are George's mixtapes. He's going to try to give them to I reached out to Apathy, or brother Chad Bromley earlier, and I had said, I hope your tour is going good. I'm really excited that you're coming up here, and I'm telling you right now, you're going to have a lot of fun with us. I said, I want to say I called you bastards, but I could be wrong. I may have called you, I may have called you guys either bastards or assholes. And I said, these guys are
Both would apply.
Both would apply. And I had said, basically flat out, they're trying to get me to rap battle with you. So
not trying to.
No,
Maybe,
you will.
Maybe for Patreon,
and
you
I
can rap
said-
battle Puppet George.
I'm probably going to get smoked. But anyway, Chip Schofield.
Yeah,
Right Worshipful Chip Schofield, our past district deputy, says a good leader will know when he is in over his head and be able to ask for help or be receptive to advice from those that have done it before them and not shut them out or discount their experiences. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I'm going to say something a little controversial on that topic, and we're going to probably get our first hate mail on this. However,
Second hate mail.
oh yeah, that's
Second.
right.
Second
Well,
hate mail.
does the newsletter count as hate mail?
Yeah.
Okay. I did receive it in the mail. Anyway, in my experience, there are a lot of female leaders that are better than male leaders, mostly because they are more apt to admit, I don't know what this is. I need help. Let me get the resources I need to understand it. Where male leaders, at least based on my experience, I'm not saying everywhere in the world, there's ego. There's more ego involved, and they are less likely to ask for help, and things get botched.
I was going to say pride and ego are a fickle bitch.
Absolutely.
They will ruin somebody. Just piggybacking off what Worcester brother Chip Schofield said, pride and ego will kill you. It
Absolutely.
will crush you because you think you know everything. You don't. No one's almighty and powerful and knows everything. Again, even as somebody who's done a lot in Freemasonry, I don't know everything. And Worship Brother Ken or you might call me on it and say, "Hey, mez."
Yeah, we do.
Right. Yeah, especially when it comes to the English language. But I also wanted to say, perfect example of this is World War II. Hitler thought he knew everything. He commanded the Battle of Stalingrad when all of his generals were saying, "Get the hell out of here."
You remember what his org structure looked like?
Yeah,
right?
It
was like him at the top, and then it was like these guys, and then these guys.
And none of them communicated with each other.
All these dotted lines back to him. Every decision had to go through him.
And, all of his generals are saying, we're going to lose this. We need to back up and regroup. And he said, nope, you're going to stay there. You're going to stay there. Yeah. And what ended up happening? He lost the whole damn war because he was stubborn and prideful, and he wouldn't take the advice of his generals. If you want to contribute that to the Masonic Lodge, yeah, the master's running the show. But, the senior warden and junior warden are your generals for the most part. Your senior deacon, right. Junior deacons, they're your ground floor guys. And their opinion matters as well. And they can give you one of the major things to me as a leader is to have a pulse. If you want to take Masonic Lodge and you want to contribute it, if you want to compare it to like a platoon of the military, you need to have a pulse of how your troops are feeling or, the morale of your group. In any type of input, good, bad, or indifferent, is an input. And you need to make a calculated decision off of that input. And that's the qualities of a good leader, somebody who's not just stuck in his ways. This is the way we're going. This is the line we're going. Yep. And not, you could still be like that. But, again, a computer runs off of inputs. All the inputs. A car runs off of all the inputs from all the sensors of a vehicle. And then the ECU makes a calculated decision on, okay, do I add fuel? Do I take fuel away? Do I do this? Do I do that? That is exactly how you be a good leader, is to take all of your inputs and then make a decision from there.
Yep.
So, Joseph Schultz, still taking shots at his brother. I learned a lot, such as my one meeting as Worshipful Master was better than Greg Schultz's 3 years as Worshipful Master combined. It's true. Everybody knows it.
Did you see Chip's last one?
Yeah,
secretaries run the show. I agree. As a current sitting secretary.
Yes and no, because a master can also clamp your balls real fast. So,
yeah, but then you can shut down Grandview when he's got nothing. What are you?
He's waiting.
Is that an Alaskan fire dragon?
No, God.
Don't look that up. Don't do it.
Robert Namias. I hope I said that right. If I did, just say yes. Never measure a leader by how many followers they have, but rather how many leaders they create. That is an absolute truth. I got to keep refreshing my screen. I'm not repeating.
Greg.
Yeah.
Oh, these guys.
We're watching live feed. They're funny as hell. That is absolutely true.
So have you guys heard of a concept called servant leadership?
Yes.
It's pretty prevalent, right?
Yep.
So I got to look up his name because I can't remember it off the top of my head. I think it's like Greenfeld or Greenleaf. All right. So Robert Greenleaf came up with this concept. He's the one who put all these concepts into a essay in 1970. But again, these are concepts that have been around forever. Servant leadership basically postulates that you as a leader have to serve the people that are beneath you.
Mm-hmm.
Your job as a leader is to serve them, not serve the organization at large. And as long as you're serving the people beneath you, they will serve the organization at large. And that, you know, that will take care of itself as long as you're doing right for them. If you look at how the progressive line is set up and how a Masonic lodge is set up in general, with the stewards being, you know, the beginning of that progressive line up to master in most jurisdictions. That's the way it is in the United States and most jurisdictions here. And I'm sure in more than a few internationally, you start in a very servile position, right? You get refreshment ready. You help prepare candidates along with the deacons, but you're basically taking orders. And you have 2 years of that. And I think...
No, keep going. We're listening. Joe's just being...
I think the founding fathers of the fraternity and their infinite wisdom, because this goes back to the medieval stonemasons. This is not like a new concept. It's not something that came up in like the last 100 years or so in Freemasonry. I think they had that. They already knew that concept. They knew, hey, if you want to be a good leader, you have to know how to follow first, right? And you have to go through all those positions, all of those different jobs about the lodge before you can direct everybody else and delegate to them and make them do those things. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're never going to tell somebody, you know, one of your officers to do something that you haven't done before, because you necessarily had to do all of those jobs before you got up to that seat. So I always kind of found that interesting. I'd read about servant leadership before I became a Mason, and after 6 or 7 years going through the line, I realized, hey, these founding fathers of ours, they knew what was up. So
I want to add, and this is going to be our final point about being a leader. One of the hardest things for a leader to do is surrender the power that they were given. And I find this in Masonic lodges. I found this in just life in general. You know, that people who are in positions of power, who said it? Benjamin Franklin? Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's not uncommon for people who get into positions of power, especially masters of a lodge, where they feel like God Almighty. Like, understand your term is going to come up. Your term is going to end. And you still need to remain brothers with your brothers. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be an end time of like, my term is over. You need to be, and this is a very hard thing for people to do, is to have these unusual and weighty powers of a master and turn them back in and become a nobody. And that's exactly what happens when you become a past master. Mm-hmm. You're a nobody. You're just another brother of the lodge. And yeah, maybe you get elected to another position, or maybe you get appointed to another position, but you're never going to have the same power as you did when you were a master.
You're now part of that lodge's history.
And this is where you have the problem of the past masters. This is where the stigma of the past master comes from. It's not the crotchety old guy, because you could be a young guy, past master, and still be a hindrance on your lodge, just simply because, well, yeah, that's not how I did it. And that right there falls into that Napoleon complex. I think Napoleon complex is for short guys. I'm going to leave Joe that one. But
too easy.
Softball. But you understand the point that I'm trying to make is you still have this in your head that you're running the show. And you need to take a back seat, and you need to go from a leadership role, as in running the lodge, as a leadership role into the educational and helping. You're now a helper. And there's many masters that have a very, very tough problem with doing that. They don't like surrendering that power. They don't like losing that title. They don't like getting away from that. And I want to point that out, and I want to turn it over to you guys on this to kind of speak on it. But you have to, your leadership as a Mason, after you leave that master's chair, does not end. You're now a past master. You're a senior member of the lodge. And again, you can become a right worshipful brother. You can become a district deputy. You can, and your leadership role can still expand and grow, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. The only way to get your leadership to grow is to be a help and become, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mentor.
Mentor. Thank you. Become a mentor to others around you.
Right.
And that's how you end up becoming right worshipful brothers and volunteering to help here and doing this and doing that. And that's very important because you're so many masters get out of the chair and then go. Never see him again.
Right.
Your job isn't ended. You're still part of the lodge. You're still a past master. And you're still in the leadership. People are still going to look up to you. You're just not, quote unquote, the boss anymore. And understand that some people may not ever make it to the level of right worshipful. You might not ever become a Grand Lodge officer. You may not ever, become a district deputy. And even after your district deputy term, which is 2 years, you're a nobody again.
So you're like a two-time nobody.
I'm a two-time nobody.
Retired nobody.
Son of a bitch. I love you, but I'm a two-time nobody.
You're a has-been that never was.
But, and what I ended up doing with that was I did this podcast. And now I'm helping somebody in a different way. I didn't end my role as being a help. Right. I grandiosoed it to what it is in the podcast. Listeners all over the place. And you guys are doing the same thing as well, even though we have a sitting master still in the house. But I'm assuming after your master, you're still going to do the podcast. You're still going to help. You're still going to participate and be part of what.
Yes, that is my plan.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically what you do. Let's see here. Chip Schofield. Hence, no skipping chairs in the line or being raised to MM and being appointed an officer. Brothers need to be well versed in the jobs they are doing and the job that they have and the future job they will be doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had to throw Right Worshipful Brother Chip a like on that one because I 100% agree with that. 100%. If you're skipping chairs, you're missing very, very important lessons of leadership as taught by the fraternity.
Let me also add on that. If you're coming through the chairs, it is the master's job to teach you that chair and show you the right way. That's part of being the master. Don't just be like, oh, yeah, you're junior deacon. Read the ritual and learn it.
So in my lodge, it was a little different. So because we have a pretty strong line, right? We've got all first time, no past masters in line. Whenever there's always nuance about the next chair that you don't learn from the ritual coach, that you don't learn from the charge of the degree on installation or the charge of the position on installation night. There's always stuff that you need to know, and who better to tell you than the person that's ahead of you in line.
Yeah. Right.
So the way that we've always done it, I believe we still do it this way in our lodge, is when you vacate a position, it's the way I've always done it anyway, the person that's taking that position from you, you go and you tell them, hey, just so you know, senior deacon, nobody ever tells you this, but those little forms, those little, those sheets in front of the sign-in book, if there are any visiting brethren, you put their names down on there and their rank and what lodge they're from, and before lodge opens, you give it to the master, and that way the master knows who's visiting. It makes it much easier for them. Right. It's one of your responsibilities. Nobody ever tells you that. Sometimes you have to learn it the hard way. I'm giving you that information now. And I think it's the person, like the brother that vacates that chair knows better than everybody else in the lodge.
Absolutely.
Because they just did that.
Just left the chair. Right Worshipful Brother Chip Schofield also said, without the past master attending regular meetings, all too often lodge history is diminished and the ritual can be forgotten. I also want to piggyback on that. Not so much the ritual, because the rituals, in the state of Connecticut anyway, it's a printed ritual. I would go more with lodge tradition. For instance, our lodge has always had the tradition at the end of the closing of the lodge, You know, we do where basically the master descends from the east and he says, there's kind of a prayer, but the master says it. Now may the blessings of heaven rest upon us all, and, you know, and all that stuff.
Every social more.
Our lodge it's a lodge tradition that the master doesn't say that. The chaplain does. And that's always been passed on. Another tradition is, in the beginning of our lodge, the chaplain, it's not written in the book, you know, that we have, but the chaplain will read the prayer on the opening of the lodge. Morningstar Lodge, the chaplain goes down to the altar, kneels, and does the prayer. But these are all things that are not in the ritual book. This is a lodge tradition that we've always upheld.
That's passed down.
Right. That's passed down. So
tradition.
You're missing, you know, yes, I agree. You know, maybe the ritual can kind of get shoddy, especially after you've had a lodge that's been recycled 1,000 times. Eventually, nobody looks at their blue book. They just know it by heart. But realistically, when you know it by heart, you mess up. And that's where you make mistakes, is because the ritual in your head that you've rehearsed 1,000 times, maybe you missed a word. Maybe you missed 2 words. Maybe you changed words. But I also think that tradition is a major one, because every lodge does things different. Joe, I've been to your lodge. Your lodge, what do you got going on over there?
Don't worry about it. Keep going.
Your lodge has a certain tradition. And I don't think you were here the night that we talked about it, but your lodge actually lines up in a circle around the altar.
Oh, yeah, you got to talk about that.
At the end.
Yes. Other lodges don't. And I went to your lodge, and I'll tell you, this is another reason to travel, because I love that about your lodge. And I actually tried to bring it here. And
we shut off all the lights, except for the light that's just shining on the altar on the 3 great lights.
Magical. It's freaking awesome.
And
loved it.
And when you say that prayer that you just mentioned, you're standing around the circle at that lodge. We also started about 5 years ago a master's log. So we have an actual log book that the master writes down. It's like his diary for that year, and it's given to the incoming master at his installation. And there's some sage advice in there. I have some of the experiences, how you handle certain things, and it's only been about 5 years now, but imagine what that's going to look like in 10 years.
That's a great
15
idea.
years, where you have, hey, here's what I went through in my year. Here's how I handled it. Here's what came up. And you have this wisdom of the past masters that's going to be passed on. And worshipful brother John Deere, in our lodge, our organist. No E on his.
John Deere, tractor, no?
Yeah.
No.
Is that what a tractor sounds like?
I don't know. I'm driving a
I thought that
tractor.
was friggin' Chewbacca or something.
Joe, is that book only for the masters?
Only for the master.
Motorboat.
So the master will get it at his installation. He holds on to it, stays in the master's bag that year, and then he writes in it throughout, and then it's passed to the next master.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of like, what is it, National Treasure, Book of Secrets?
That's awesome. That's actually really cool, to be honest with you. And also,
so you get to maintain some of those things, and it becomes a real-time historical record of what's going on.
That's awesome. I actually like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right Worshipful Chip said, George, I stand corrected. That's what I was going for, was a lodge tradition, such as, what is the seat to the right of the worshipful master meant for? Looking at him or sitting in the master's chair?
So on the right of the worshipful master, that's usually where we invite the
DD
right worshipful district deputy and the AGM to sit during official inspection in our lodge.
I would even go as far as saying anybody, because
Or
not necessarily
any past master or dignitary that the master
any
wishes to
dignitary.
sit with him.
Right. But if you're sitting in the chair,
What we've done a few times,
looking at the
Choice.
chair.
Yeah.
what we've done a few times is at the end of a
Chaplains.
degree, we've invited a candidate to come sit up and watch the closing from being next to the master. That sometimes is a really cool thing for them to.
That's really
They might not see that again for like 7
You've
years.
always offered that chair to
Wow, a lot of representation from Ashler Aspetuck watching tonight. Thank you guys. Appreciate the support.
Brother Dave starting. Nicely played.
glare off of your head.
However, this is a
read it
fresh
again.
It's
haircut.
not noticeable.
This is a fresh haircut. So
He said the 2 bald guys.
sitting in the chair.
Did you get that for half price?
Every time I get a haircut, it's gonna be a half price comment. All right.
It's a kid's cut.
Very nicely done, though. I appreciate the ball busting.
Chip Scope.
Brother Dave
How
Neese.
about inviting a past master to sit there during your state of communication? Absolutely. I mean, that is the master's prerogative. He can do that.
You sit their ass in the bleachers.
Well, a lot of times we've
I'm joking. I'm a past master as well.
And a lot of one thing that we've started to do recently too in our lodge is the most recent past master is the chaplain. So he's to the left of the master, but he's having just gone through that chair can give some sage advice and whisper that in. So a lot of shouts out to 142.
The boys are on.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Our senior warden, our master, and our
Mark
most
Zuccarello.
recent he's our senior warden. Just like our page
Is
the
that a
other day.
past master?
Mark Zuccarello, no.
Oh.
You're thinking Mark Smith?
No. I know Mark Smith. I thought he was too. Oh, all
No,
right.
he's senior warden.
I was trying to promote you.
He'll be master next year if he doesn't
Master
piss
of
me off.
All right. So, yeah, that's right. Former Marine.
Who did
That's right. There's no such thing as former, but I'll tell you what, the haircut sticks. The haircut stays. All right.
You're looking,
Ken fired in the Harmony.
you're looking like
That's
you won't get this reference, but the old
Probably
guys
not.
watching.
I'm
You
not
kinda look
because you're
like
old,
you
so
look
I
like
won't
De
get
Niro in Taxi Driver.
Oh, God.
I'm too young for that.
Yeah,
Your beard shows that proof.
Hey, you know what?
Oh, you know what?
I love this beard. I've earned a lot of these grays.
All right, ball busting
Hold
session,
on.
then we'll shut it down.
Hold on. Mark Zuccarello. Before we get into the ball busting,
Uh-oh.
Mark Zuccarello, steward for life. You guys heard the phrase, once a steward, always a steward?
Absolutely.
You are always a servant
Yeah.
of that lodge from the time you are in that seat until you are a past master. You are
Always,
there
always
to serve the lodge.
jump in because even as a past master, if your junior warden needs help and you jump in,
Yep.
somebody's going to see, wow, he's
Steve.
past master's jumping
Yep.
in. I better jump in.
Glad
That's
you
the
like
way these guys operate, right?
Yeah.
And then
Steve Bruner. This show
lead by
rocks.
example.
This show
Steve
rocks.
Bruner is, just so you know, we talked about Champ the Clown on the Shrine.
Mhm.
Steve is Champ the Clown.
He's champ.
Hey!
And he is offered
Champ!
to come in on the show as Champ the Clown.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, there you go, Brother Steve. Send me
brother-
a message.
Brother Steve,
We'll work it out.
Build
as
that
long
guy,
as
too.
Puppet George can interview you afterward.
That's going to be a tough interview. Champ might have better material than Puppet
Probably does.
I'm fairly certain.
Somebody needs to put that puppet in his place. So.
I'm fairly certain Champ won like a nationwide contest for the Shriners Clowns or something. I could be wrong, but I could have swore. But yeah, we special guest Champ the Clown
We should get Brother Bill back, too.
as
Yeah,
Rascal.
absolutely.
Yeah, he can
Absolutely.
be Rascal.
Actually,
That'd be
Brother
awesome.
Bill Russo put up a funny picture today. He was in a bathroom.
I saw that.
Now, mind you,
So,
Brother Bill is probably my height, so which isn't very tall. 5'7", ish.
On a phone book.
All you need is one more, and you could truly be the Lollipop Kid.
So,
Steward
you're a
Emeritus.
bastard. But I love you.
I love you too, brother. If I didn't
he
love
was in
you,
a
I wouldn't say
bathroom.
anything to you.
He
like
was
I
in
did
a
to Rocco.
bathroom
No.
with a hand dryer that was actually over his head.
Yes.
It was freaking hilarious, though. I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, that'd be me. It was a hand dryer. I don't know why it was, 6 feet in the air, but whatever. So,
It was like 4 feet in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bill.
4'5",
Sorry, Bill.
so-
all right, brothers, we say we lock this up.
Yeah.
I think it's about that time. Just remember, y'all need Jesus.
Yeah.
After hours?
Seriously.
After hours.
Y'all need Jesus.
We haven't done it after hours.
No.
We haven't done an after hours in a
Well,
while.
I'm not staying for an after hours.
Party pooper.
We can stay for an after hours, but let's take a
We
break.
haven't done one in so long.
All right. We'll do a half hour after
I
hours.
got my new
All right.
sticker on the back of my
And we'll
laptop.
actually do it live.
Look at that.
It'll be the first live
Just
after
for-
hours.
And not on community page.
We'll do it on
Well,
community.
then we're going to
page.
have to keep it clean.
We'll swap off to the community page.
Well, no.
Ish. We have to keep them clean anyway because we have our podcast
always-
police watching us.
Yeah, but if...
By that, he means my wife.
It'll be all right. You can still take shots at me, all right, even though they're clean. Just make cleaner ones. You just can't drop the F word. It's fine.
So no different than an actual episode.
No difference.
It'll just be purely ball busting.
It'll be
All
purely
ball
ball
busting.
busting.
Dig it.
We'll go live. If you guys again, we're doing this on the regular page, but if you guys want to watch this, give us a little hell yeah on this page, and we'll switch over to the community page, and we will do it. We'll do it live on the community page. If you want to get into the community page, answer the damn questions.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't just say
interesting crap coming through.
And seriously, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you
to Senior Warden Mark Zuccarella for properly answering the question of who has the best hair. And he said, "Worshipful Brother Josie," and it was like,
I disagree with that. I think that's a
How
subjective
come I didn't see
question.
that one then?
that's when
he already accepted.
Oh, you as soon as you saw that,
Right there.
What did you tell him the answers?
I just want everyone to know.
It's actually mentioned in my logic.
I just want everyone to know that Rafferty's kind of like the admin of the page. He's the one who kind of approves and everything. But Worshipful Brother Ken's on there. Worshipful Brother Joe's on there. I'm on there as well. I don't really touch it that much because I kind of leave it to these guys to do. But
Raph knows what's up.
But my point is that everybody monitors the page, so it's not like you're going to get skipped over. And everybody, I'm sure you guys all have the same bitch that if you want to be in the community, answer the damn
They're
questions.
not that. They used to be harder. They're really not hard.
It's basically like a CAPTCHA test. You guys ever have to do that "I'm not a robot" thing? When you
Yes,
pull out a
that's
form?
all it is.
That's really all it is.
I mean, somebody even said
Don't
Papa
be a
George
robot.
had the best hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we'll accept that.
Yeah. Or Ken.
No. Or Ken.
Or
Or Rafferty.
Best hair. Okay.
Rafferty's got the best hair.
The best, like, single hair?
Worshipful
Or
Brother.
collective? I just didn't know.
Like,
Like, talking about one
just-
hair.
just-
or collective?
Just
That
throw
is-
out one of our names.
Alright.
We'll accept it.
We should shave
We're
that
gonna
off
go,
of George's head.
We're going to go over to the community page. We're going to do a half-hour Patreon, and then we'll shut it down. So, anyway, for this episode, for the Freemasons podcast, I'm your host, Right Worshipful Brother George Marjorie, signing off.
Worshipful Brother Joe signing off.
Worshipful Brother Ken signing off.
Brother Raph, signing off.
Brother Rocco.
Have a good one, everyone.
Good night.
Still live. We're shutting
See,
it down
Mark
shortly.
Zuccarella. It is thick and full hair.
No,
I thought he was talking about my beard.
thick and
I
full.
think he's talking about my
Got a
hair.
freaking toupee. Who you bullshit?
You know what?
All right.
Look at this. Look at
Swapping
these locks.
pages, ladies and gentlemen.
Slide over to the community page. Have a good one.
Do it. Do it now.
No.
Come with me if you want to live.
It is happening as I have foreseen.
Oh, things are going to go to hell.